gentlemen, everybody in this meeting is very important for us. So please take your seats. And my name is Mushtaq Lashari. I think you might have seen it on my card with other friends who are going to come on the stage later on. But I just want to say thank you for supporting Third World Solidarity and welcome our 35th annual dinner, which is happening after 37 years. Because 2 years, because of COVID, we couldn't do it. I think it is very important that we remember the COVID, the Grenfell, the Ukraine, and the difficulties world is facing today. Can I invite the MC, the host of this evening, who has been selected day before yesterday? But let me say something to you before it. There is a news to it. I was told by one of my countrymen friends that Rishi Sunak and Sajid Javed have resigned. So can you be also taken out of them? And the news is Gary Johnson has been appointed as a Chancellor of the United Kingdom. So can I now invite my host of this evening, and she is when I say that she's my daughter, and you will be amazed when you see her. My daughter-in-law and my granddaughter is sitting at the back, so you will meet them later on. She is a barrister. She was a former councillor, stood for a couple of times in different constituencies, in challenging constituencies. She has been selected as a party candidate for Derby North on Sunday with 63 votes to 37 for all other three candidates. Barrister Catherine Atkinson, chairwoman of the Society of Labour Bar, and future MP and whatever, you don't know what is her height going to be, because she is a very big woman. Thank you.
I'm not sure I've ever been introduced as a very big woman before. Thank you all very much for being here this evening. It is a joy to be able to host. When Mushtaq Lashari, who is very much my uncle, asked me to join, I said of course, because that's what I say whenever he asks me anything, and I'm sure a lot of you around the room do the same. And he even managed to ensure that it was a quiet news night so that none of you would be missing anything on your phones when you listen to the fantastic speakers that we have got lined up for you this evening. And we do have a few, so I'm going to absolutely make sure that we crack on. The first this evening is Mary Foy, MP for Durham Central, the chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Third World Solidarity, and a long-time supporter. So can I invite Mary to come up this evening?
Well, good evening everyone, and welcome to the 35th annual dinner of Third World Solidarity. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And I want to first of all thank Mushtaq Lashari, who is, I'm sure he's a good friend of mine and a good friend of everyone in this room. And I know he's been lobbying parliamentarians for a long time, and every time I see him in Parliament, he's hounded by MPs, hordes of MPs who want to chat to him and say hello. So thank you so much for all your hard work, Mushtaq. And I guess, speaking of members of Parliament, I'd also like to thank Dave Anderson, who was a former chair of Third World Solidarity. And Dave is a very good friend of mine. We've campaigned together. He was my MP, and we've campaigned together, and we've shared family holidays together. And Dave was, he was the former chair and also the Shadow Secretary of State for Ireland and Scotland. And I'd also like to thank Liz Twist, who was a former, the former chair of still here fighting the cause of third world solidarity and social justice across the world. Thank you, Dave. I'm really honoured to hopefully carry on in their footsteps and being the chair of this really important APPG, because we know that those values of justice and peace and democracy and human rights, they're the backbone of our society, and we have to fight tooth and nail to keep those values a priority. When we know that many politicians these days don't actually prioritise human rights across the global south, but we know how important it is. So it will be a pleasure for me to carry on the great work of those who've gone before me in this role, and to work with Mushtaq and the rest of the APPG to keep these values on our agenda. We know that through the APPG we're given a voice to some of those countries in the global south where they need advocates in Parliament to speak out for them and to shout out about some of the injustices that are happening in their countries. And it's something that's quite close to my heart. I'm the chair of an international social justice organisation, and I've spent many years meeting in dialogue with people across the global south and standing in solidarity with them to raise the injustices that they face. So I'm very proud to be here tonight. I think this is such an important event. It's great to see everybody here tonight supporting a wonderful cause, and I would be great if you just have a fantastic evening tonight, because it's also about having fun and networking as well as supporting such a marvellous cause. Thank you.
Very much, Mary. We next this evening have Hussein Zawad, who served as a diplomat in many countries, including being serving for the United Nations as well, and is now the ambassador to the UK for Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It's such a great pleasure to see you, Mushtaq, after all these years, to be among you celebrating the 37th anniversary of such a renowned, inspiring institution, the Third World Solidarity, and the 35th annual dinner. I may have attended the 10th annual dinner some 25 years ago. I was 3 years old, by the way. But it really gives me such a great pleasure to be here with you. Today, I have been asked to say a few words on the situation in Palestine. I would like to speak a little bit about Shireen Abu Akleh, the veteran journalist and a close friend of mine, who was killed, assassinated while doing her job in Jenin refugee camp in the occupied territory. As you may be aware, we have given the bullet that actually ended up killing her to a third party, between two parentheses, the United States of America. Only yesterday, the US State Department has decided that while the weight of evidence suggests the bullet that killed Shireen was fired by an Israeli soldier, it is impossible, they say in their statement, to determine with certainty, and therefore no further action will be taken. It is worth noting here, my friends, that 9 investigations, including by the United Nations, by the Palestinian government, as well as Palestinian and Israeli human rights organizations, by numerous US and international media outlets like the CNN, Washington Post, the New York Times, all have concluded that it was an Israeli soldier that killed Shireen. I mention this, my friends, because the case of Shireen perfectly illustrates the single most pressing problem to address for anyone wishing peace in our region and beyond. In our region, in your region, and in the world. That is impunity and the lack of accountability. That is the U.S. lack of credibility and neutrality when it comes to Israel. And I mention this, my friends, I mention this simply to say that getting away with things is exactly what got us in the situation we are in today. From the original ethnic cleansing in 1948 all the way to the ethnic cleansing of today in Masafir Yatta in Hebron, Israel has been put above the law. There are laws, my friends. There are international laws and norms that we have created together after the horrors of the Second World War. There are laws against ethnic cleansing, against apartheid, against the forcible transfer of populations. There are laws against settlement building in occupied territory, any occupied territory. There are laws against the acquisition of territory by force. Israel, as you know, has unilaterally annexed and occupied East Jerusalem and the Syrian Golan Heights. There are laws, my friends, about the treatment of prisoners. Right now, there are 640 Palestinians in administrative detention. You know what that means, administrative detention? It means people are held with no charge or trial. Israel now, as we speak, holds 170 child prisoners. There are laws, my friends, about the treatment of civilians, including journalists, by an occupying force. Israel has broken all these laws repeatedly and in full view of the world, all of us. And yet, it never pays a price. Why? And Shireen's case has proven more of the same. Now, any journalist covering Palestine, or covering Ukraine, or covering anywhere in the world, would fear for their lives, and would think that their killers will bear no consequences. Just like Israel as a country knows that it will not face any consequences, whatever action it takes, which leaves me with this one conclusion, my friends. Given the outsized imbalance of power between the Israeli and the Palestinian sides, there is no route to liberation, freedom and justice for Palestinians outside a mixture of diplomacy and popular pressure. But if Israel is not held to account, if any aggressor is not held to account, what hope lies there? If Israel is not held to the same standards, same rules as everyone else, what hope is there? If the powerful countries of this world refuse to take international law seriously, what hope is there for any of us? That, my friends, honorable members of parliament, lords, mayors, distinguished guests, that is the situation in Palestine. That is the situation beyond Palestine. A situation that has serious repercussions globally on all of us. Because the law cannot be subdivided, because you must apply the law equally. And trust me, my friends, the law must be paramount, otherwise we are left with the rule of the jungle. And trust me as well, that as someone who lived under the lawlessness of the Israeli occupation and colonization and apartheid, you don't want to know what that is like. If we want to progress, all of us, as a family of solidarity, third world solidarity, if we want to progress towards peace in Palestine and indeed elsewhere, we need to start doing one thing. One thing. First, all of us ensure that the rules apply to all equally. No one above the law. No exceptions. Application of the law right across the board. That's all. That's all we need to do together, my friends. Uphold the law. Thank you.
Next for you this evening, we have Mohammed Sawar, the first Muslim member of Parliament in the United Kingdom, holding many senior roles in Pakistan, including Governor of Punjab, and now the chair and founder of the Grand Overseas Club of Pakistanis living abroad. So.
Very open but very pleasant surprise and happiness to see you here. Mayors, Lord Mayors, Members of Parliament, Your Excellency, Ambassador of Palestine in London, dear friends, brothers, sisters, good evening, Assalamu alaikum. I think first of all, Mushtaq Bashari, I want to pay you the tribute and your plea that for last 37 years, Third World Solidarity is working very hard for peace, for stability, for democracy, for justice in the world. And I have always supported Mushtaq Bashari for his all noble and good cause. And today's event shows that it is a very successful event. MashaAllah, people from all walks of life are here. So please show your appreciation for organizing such a wonderful event to Mushtaq Bashari. And I would like to tell you one story about Mushtaq Bashari. The guy called Yasser, he was my personal assistant when I was member of Parliament in the United Kingdom. And people were telling me that Mushtaq Bashari is more often in your office and in the House of Commons than you. Then I wanted to know what is the secret. So he became extraordinarily friendly with Yasser, and he was giving him access all the time. One day I asked him to do some work, and he didn't do it, and I said, what happened, Yasser? I asked you to do this work for me. He said he was busy doing Mushtaq Bashari work. So I had to tell him that it is not Mushtaq Bashari, it's me who is your boss. Yes, listen to him because he does a good work with him. But when I say something, that is the priority, not Mushtaq Bashari. So he has this friendly and good communication skills when he makes good friends, and that shows that so many people are present here in this event. Your Excellency, I am very proud that I have been involved in campaign for Free Palestine during my college days when I was studying in Government College Festival. I still remember we having demonstrations against this brutal occupation. And when I came to Scotland, I was involved in Scottish medical aid for Palestine. And during the Intifada, I had the opportunity to visit Palestine at least half a dozen times. And I'm pleased when Yasser Arafat went to Palestine as the head of state, I went with him. And I used to go and meet him in Tunisia when his head office was in Tunisia. So I wish and pray that time will come when Palestine will be independent state with its capital, Jerusalem. And inshallah, one day you will achieve that, your people will achieve that. And I can assure you on behalf of the Pakistani community, on behalf of the state of Pakistan, that all the political parties and religious parties in Pakistan stand shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And there is no question of recognition of state of Israel until Palestine is a free state. I can assure you on behalf of the government of Pakistan. Brothers and sisters, you all know what is happening in the occupied Kashmir, human rights, gross violations, fake counters in which the children are being killed in the presence of their family, in the presence of their mothers and fathers. And the latest case is the example of lawlessness or law of the jungle when they have given 2 life sentences to a freedom fighter, Yasin Malik. And I was given this task to launch a campaign in the United Kingdom, in Europe, in America to release Yasin Malik. And I am pleased to say that I have met dozens of members of parliament, House of Lords members, and particularly the all-party parliamentary group from Kashmir. And they have agreed unanimously, all the members of the all-party parliamentary group from Kashmir, to launch a petition for the release of Yasin Malik. And inshallah, we will get the signatures, 10,000 signatures, within the next 10 days, and then hope some kind of response from the British government. All we are asking for is retrial, where Yasin Malik is given the right to defend himself, to have a lawyer of his own choice, and fair and free trial. And I'm pleased that I met just before I came to this event, I met Helena Kennedy, who is an international human rights lawyer. She was very sympathetic, and she has pledged to give all the legal assistance in this case. I hope and request you that whenever you get the opportunity, all of us who believe in the rule of law, who believe in democracy, who believe in justice, who believe in fair and free trial, will sign this petition and support us for the release of Yasin Malik. And finally, I want to say is that if we want to bring peace, stability in the world, we have to give justice to the people who are fighting for their freedom. I was in the United States last year, and I met dozens of senators, congressmen, congresswomen, governors, deputy governors, secretary of state. And one thing really I felt there is some kind of change. Because I always believe that because America is the superpower, the most richest power in the world, they are not willing even to listen. But one thing I noticed this time, they were listening. At least we were having a dialogue. And I spoke to them, and I wanted to talk to them about Kashmir, I wanted to talk to them about Palestine, but they were all wanted to know about Afghanistan, because they were concerned what's going on in Afghanistan. And on the Afghanistan issue, one thing I told them, that don't blame Pakistan for this. It's you initiated this war in Afghanistan. And I'm pleased to say and proud to say that I oppose war in Afghanistan, and I voted against the war in Iraq because I believe that these are immoral, illegal war. That's why I did not support the war as a member of parliament in the United Kingdom. And I told them, before you attack any country, you look into the history of that country. Russians invaded Afghanistan in 1979, and after 10 years of war, the superpower was defeated by Taliban. Before this, the British conquered Punjab, they conquered Bangladesh, they conquered India. They made 3 attempts to conquer Afghanistan. But British forces could not conquer Afghanistan. And in war, they lost almost 10 to 15,000 their soldiers and their people who were working for them. And after that, 20 years, United States of America, Britain, Europe, Allied forces, NATO, fought against Afghanistan. And they could not defeat Afghan, Taliban or Afghan. And I said to them, how you expect a third world country, a poor country, with very little resources can pick a fight with Taliban or with those people? So I think for a peace we have to negotiate with those people. We disagree with them on women issues. I disagree with them that they should allow the women to go to school, they should allow the women to go to work, and they should allow to women to work on media. These are the issues we will be fought. We stand with Europe and other people, but at the same time we feel that there is only one game in the town that we have to negotiate with them to find a lasting peace in Afghanistan. So once again, I thank you for listening to me patiently. I know there are many other speeches going to be here, and I have another commitment. It is always good to be in London, and I met many colleagues and friends in House of Commons, and I'm pleased that there are many of our colleagues who are fighting for peace, justice, equality, fairness in Britain and all over the world. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
We are now going to proceed with some awards. Awards to truly inspiring people. And to help me get those out, I'm going to call back to the stage the main man of the evening, Mushtaq Ashari. If you have never seen Mushtaq Ashari work the room, he is a pro. He is an incredible diplomat, he is an incredible statesman, and he is my uncle. Mushtaq.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I tell you, I always say two small stories before we call the people for yours. First is, there are two types of people. Today in this room are second category of the people. There are 95% of the people who are born for themselves, live for themselves, and die for themselves. They die before they die. There are another 5% or maybe less who are born for others, live for others, and die for others. Everyone in this room is in second category. So a big clap to yourself. The second story is that it is not necessary to have hats. And I have my hat here. That your MP, your governor, your parliamentarian, your law, and then you can achieve. The leadership is not based on your title or your hats. The leadership is based on your principles. If you stand for principle, if you sacrifice for your principle, you are the leader, even if you have no hat on you or no title on you. In this room, I have got judges, high court judges from Pakistan, Lord McNair sitting, lords, MPs, and we are going to call them on the stage and we present the award. So can I ask Kathy to just say the first award, but before that, let me call all parliamentarians and lords to come here, because it will take time to come down here when we call the award. So Lord Wazir Khan, Mayor Councillor David Lindsay, Mayor of Lusham, and there are many former mayors and mayors, Councillor Tawseef Anwar Sahab, parliamentarians and lords, please come on the stage. Yes, please, Mary Fire, Raj Shah, and I know there is a commander of naval, honorary commander sitting, so please come. And Salman Raza as well, please. Stand behind. Only one person will present the award, other will stand behind to show our appreciation. Sarasa, please. To show our appreciation, only one person will present the Cadbury is somewhere sitting. Get a sheet. All over there. Thank you very much. So, can I ask Abbas, Raju, and David O'Neill to come on the stage, who are the chairman and vice chairman of Lancaster West Estate, where Greenfield Tower exists. And the first award is for somebody who is working for Greenfield Tower. So, Abbas, Raju, and David, give them a big clap. Now I will ask President to announce the award, and you will see the award. If you leave the screen little bit, you can see it. Who is the award winner? Can you leave a little bit on the side? And then, yes, Kathy.
So the first award for this evening goes to Yvette Williams, MBE, for her campaign, Justice for Grenfell.
Service award for her services on campaigning for justice for Grenfell goes to Yvette Williams, MBE. This award is sponsored by Business Council.
Can I ask Councillor David Lindsay to come forward and give this award to Everett William, who is the mayor of Rand Borough of Kensington, Chelsea, with the Vice Chancellor David O'Neill, please. Thank you. Yes, everybody behind the side, yes. I think this is the most important thing for everybody. This award goes to Everett William. Give her a big clap. And can I ask the award winner to stay on the stage as well? The second award goes to, I think, I will say it because I know Kathleen has, it is the second award. Again, please give a space for the second award announcement. Everett William, you stay here, please. Everett, stay. Second award goes to Ehsan Shahid Chaudhary for Open Kitchen. Can we give a space for it? Ehsan Shahid Chaudhary, please come. Why you are sitting at the back? I asked you to sit on the front. And he has got at least half a dozen of his people who are getting his services. So let's see who is it. Ehsan Shahid Chaudhary.
Third World Solidarity Annual Gala Dinner, the Excellence Community Service Award for services to homeless people, goes to Ehsan Shahid Chaudhary, Open Kitchen. This award is sponsored by UK Pakistan Business Council.
Ruth Chaudhary is the local MP, so she will give all people behind it, please, including me. So people are taking photographs. Lord Khan Sahab, you need to come because this is the first Muslim charity who is providing services to irrespective of religion, creed or cause. So give them a big clap. Thank you very much. Stay here. Third one.
The third award goes to Ramesa Maria for the Excellence Award for Pakistan Business and Culture.
Third World Solidarity Annual Gala Dinner, the award for her services to Pakistani business and promoting arts and culture of Pakistan, goes to Ramesa Maria, Vice Chairperson, UK Pakistan Business Council. This award is sponsored by UK Pakistan Business Council.
And can I ask Lord Wajid Khan, Raj Shah and Lord Kurban to present this award, please. And everybody behind, please to show your, and you show me that as well. Safar Sahab as well. Please stand next. Yeah. Please, this is something which she is doing a lot to promote Pakistani businesses, art and culture. And I think on 14th August, there is a 75th Jashn-e-Azadi in Mental Park with 12,000 people to do join her. Please give her a big clap. Next award, please.
The next award, I can't quite do the voice, because her voice is so much bigger. The next award is Dave Anderson, the Excellence Award for Services to Trade Union Politics.
Solidarity Annual Gala Dinner, Lifetime Achievement Award for services to trade union, politics and humanity.
Dave Anderson was a child laborer. He became vice chairman of NUM, National Union of Miners. He became carer. He became later MP. And he was the man who started our party parliamentary group with Martin Salter and many other parliamentarians. So, and now he's a chairman of MARA, the biggest event of trade unions in Durham. And this year, Ever William and Dave has done a collaboration. The miners gala will be coming to Notting Hill Carnival, and Notting Hill Carnival will be going to Durham miners. So give them a big clap. Half a million people. So the final award announced by Catherine.
The fifth and final award is to Layla Najafi, the Excellence Award for services to empowering the women of all nations.
Third World Solidarity Annual Gala Dinner. Her services to empowering women of all nations. Goes to Layla Najafi, runway model, President, Mrs. Universal Empire, International Entertainment Company. This award is sponsored by UK Pakistan Business Council.
Can I ask all the women on the stage to present this award to David Lindsay and Sarwan Saab with them? Yes, all the women come forward, please. This is a big, and I'm going to ask all the winners to speak for 2 minutes. I think we should not discriminate women, but we are empowering women. That is the third word solidarity. Thank you. So I think before we invite our final speaker, I think why Rumesa you are not here? We need few chairs, but just bring it quickly. The award winner will sit in front, we will stand behind and we will take a photograph. Thank you, that's why I have you here. I think some of the very good people are here to take our photograph. So please, the award winner, 5 chairs. Thank you very much. Grab the chair. It is a tough task to organize these things, but I will do that. All 5 award winners. David, one more. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. The award winners. 1 minute. Show you water. Yeah. Can we have a few more chairs? Ever William, Catherine, can you come here? Commander, you sit on the other side. Bring 2 more chairs. 3 more chairs. Commander Sahab, आप मिडल में चले गए हैं फोटोग्राफ. Bring some more chairs. Oh, Captain. Okay, I know. I should have. I'm a commander of the teacher class, so I'm bigger.
No, not in the Navy. It's like, don't take those chairs, we're fine here.
Mr. Mayor, Thank you very much, Ibrahim Bogas. You are a great man. Look camera, please. Thank you very much. Thank you, Awards. And I think there are a couple of more things before the dinner is served. Dinner is 15 minutes late, so Pakistani style it is not too late. So the award winner, please stay here. Sit here, this is your time. People sit, yes. Don't please stay here.
heavyweight when it comes to politics. Yvette Cooper MP, our Shadow's Home Secretary.
Thank you very much. Just because I was actually come and present the Lifetime Achievement Award to Dave Anderson. So I just want to say a few words in tribute to Dave, who many of you will know for the amazing work he has done over many years. I hope you will also know him for his singing and for his troublemaking. He once nearly got Ed and I kicked out of our conference room at the Labour Party conference for leading an impromptu karaoke that was so loud that people complained, and the reception came up to try and kick us out of our room, which was particularly embarrassing because I had just that afternoon announced as Shadow Home Secretary that the next Labour government would crack down on antisocial behaviour and noisy neighbours. Dave, as you will know though, has done amazing work as a champion for our coalfield communities and for our mining communities, as a champion for carers across the country and for unsung heroes across the country, but also as a champion for international humanity, compassion, standing up for human rights and for justice. And that is why we are honouring him now, and it is an opportunity for me also to say thank you to all of you, to Mushtaq and to everybody involved in Third World Solidarity. The work that you are doing standing up for those international values on human rights matters now more than ever, at a time when we see the government too often promote division rather than solidarity, to promote inequality rather than people coming together to solve international conflicts and division. At a time when we have a government that is trying to send trafficking and torture victims to Rwanda in an unworkable and unethical and unaffordable policy that risks increasing criminal gangs and people trafficking too. Tonight we may be seeing the crumbling of a Prime Minister who I fear has done more than anybody else to undermine standards of integrity, of values, of decency and of respect for the rule of law. But I would just say to all of those who have defended him for so long that they too need to take responsibility for the undermining of integrity and decency and values in public life. I give you just this final thought that although there was some celebration when I left Westminster this evening, it was then tempered by a rumour going round that in fact, Mushtaq, it may be worse than you had suggested, and that the next Chancellor might instead be Nadine Dorries. You couldn't make anything up at the moment, but that's why it matters for organisations like everybody here, for Third World Solidarity, to stand up for those core values of compassion, of human decency, of working together for justice and for solidarity. So thank you everybody tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful meal. Thank you.
Can I invite Ambassador to come and take this stage? And I know that, I know that people are going to another 10 minutes because the caterer said the food will be ready in 10 minutes at 8:30. So I'm going to say something. And first is, you know, everybody is praising David Anderson, and I have worked with him. So can I, with your permission, ask him to say a few words? David Anderson.
Karaoke time.
I spent a lifetime with the trade union movement, and we had one thing that bound us together, and that was the line that unity is strength. And if you look at this board behind you, it says bringing people together, which is exactly the same thing. And we rule by people in this country and the world, by people who don't want us to come together. Think about the man who was the most powerful man in the world, until 2020, Donald Trump. He split his country on immigration, on gun control, on abortion, on vaccination, on wearing a mask. If you didn't wear a mask, your sins being on Donald's side. If you did, you were an outcast. How on earth can people work together when we have people like that running the world? We need to come together. The only thing we've got as ordinary people is each other. We need to remember that, and that's what binds third world solidarity together. That's what binds the people that I come from, the trade union together, and it's what makes the world a better place. We are better when we work together and work apart. Thank you very much for your award tonight. I don't deserve it, but I want to brag about it as much as I can, and I promise not to sing till 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yes, please, I'm here.
It's a duet.
I know I keep on changing my chair. Lord Rajan, please come up, because if you are down, everybody will be speaking to you. So please don't. There is a place outside. If anybody wants to speak, please for next 5 minutes. Can I ask few people in the audience who are very important for me and everyone? Next, because food will be served in a few minutes. I think you can see the soft drink is coming on your table. So first is Dr. Meet Sin Lai, OBE-DL. She's the chairwoman of British Society, British Relations Society. Please stand up on your chair. Can you give a big clap to her and welcome her? Thank you very much. Now Umar Qureshi, who runs a forum of international research and research. Umar Qureshi, wherever you are, please stand up. Give him a big clap. Can I have Naveed Ahmed, who is the chairman of Broadway City Gwadar. Gwadar is a new secret town, so give him a big clap. Can I now ask few other people, who you need to know, and Catherine and every parliamentarian, including Lord Rajan Khan, please come here, because you want to need to see these people. Please, come here. You are my younger nephew, so I can order you to come. So I have got many nephews nowadays. And can I ask my daughter-in-law, my grandchildren to stand up? My son is somewhere. Can he also show himself with them? So can you stand up, please? My daughter-in-law, my granddaughter. Give them a big clap, because I've got 3 nieces, nephews, and my grandchildren. So can I now ask, I've got here and everybody, many potential candidates from Conservative Party, from Liberal, from Labour Party. So can I start those potential parliamentarians who will be your future parliamentarians? So can I ask Dr. Roman Tahir, who is a Conservative Party member? Where is Dr. Roman Tahir? Can I ask Dr. Gul Mutla? Can I ask Councillor Gravina? Can I ask David Taylor to stand up, please? David Taylor, and then Joe, Paul, and there are many others. I think Leila Bhatt is sitting somewhere. Yes. So these are, and Ishma, I can't miss you, Councillor Ishma, newly elected in Brad. So we have many, but can I ask Salman Sheikh to come on the stage with Matthew Cohen and Joe Paul? Because these are the 3 potential candidates for candidacy. When we have to wait, can I ask Salman Sheikh, Matthew Cohen, Joe Paul to come on the stage to introduce yourself? Salman Sheikh, please. Salman Sheikh is the chairman of Share Foundation, who is working with Draft 2 Diplomacy for Peace, Justice and Tolerance. And that's why give him a big clap. And Joe Paul, Councillor Matthew Cohen. Come and come. Thank you very much, everybody. There are many more. We don't name everybody and anybody. I know Mr. Tal Hafiz is in here, who is the secretary of UK Peace sponsor. So thank you very much, everybody. Big clap to everybody. Go on your tables and food will be served. Thank you.